Imagine for a moment a sound. A slow, rhythmic dripping. Drip, drip, drip. It's a leaky faucet in your kitchen. In a different era, this would be a minor annoyance, a 10-minute fix with a wrench and a washer. But today, for many of us, it feels like a catastrophe. Imagine standing before that minor mechanical failure in your own home and feeling a strange, paralyzing sense of dread. Not because you are physically incapable, you have hands, you have eyes, but because the knowledge of how a simple valve works feels as distant to you as the physics of a black hole. You stare at the metal. It stares back, alien and incomprehensible. You don't reach for a tool. You reach for a phone. You don't diagnose the problem. You schedule an expert. You don't fix. You pay. This feeling of helplessness is the symptom of a much larger condition. We are living through a silent extinction. It is not an extinction of species, birds, or forests, though that is happening too. This is an extinction of competence. We are slowly shedding the manual and cognitive skills that have defined human interaction with the physical world for millennia. We are trading competence for convenience, and in doing so, we risk becoming passengers in our own lives, watching the scenery go by through a glass screen, unable to steer the ship. Today, we are going to unmask this vanishing world, from the death of the handyman to the atrophy of our own minds. We must ask the uncomfortable question, what happens to the human soul when we no longer know how to touch the world? Let's begin with our hands. There was a time when the objects in our lives were intelligible. They spoke a language we could understand. If you opened the hood of a car 50 years ago, you saw an engine. It was honest. You saw the spark plugs, the belts, the carburetor. It was a machine with parts you could identify, touch, and theoretically understand. If it broke, you could trace the line of causality. But today, if you lift the hood of a modern car, especially a high-end one, you are greeted by nothing. A plastic shroud, a shimmering, featureless obelisk that hides the reality of the machine. It says, "Do not touch. No user-serviceable parts inside." This is not an accident. It is a design philosophy. We are living in the era of planned obsolescence and hostile design. Manufacturers now design devices to fail, or worse, to be impossible to repair. They glue batteries into our phones. They use proprietary screws, like the pentalobe, specifically invented to keep your screwdriver out. They want to prevent the curious from interrogating the innards of their possessions. We have shifted from a culture of fixing to a throwaway culture. If your toaster breaks, you don't find a soldering iron. You find a garbage bin. And then you buy another one on Amazon, delivered in 2 hours. The philosopher and mechanic Matthew Crawford calls this hiding the works, and he argues that this is a tragedy, because when the mechanisms of our daily lives are concealed, we become passive. We stop being owners of our tools. We become mere lessees. We are just renting functionality from a corporation. We are alienated from the very things we hold in our hands. The sociologist Richard Sennett takes this further. He argues that this shift changes our very character. Think about the craftsman. He is proud of the table he made or the engine he fixed. He cherishes it because his labor is embedded in it. Now, contrast that with the modern consumer. The consumer is driven by a restless, anxious pursuit of the new. We discard things that are perfectly serviceable because we cannot maintain them. When we cannot repair our things, when we are legally or physically barred from fixing a tractor or a smartphone, we treat the world as disposable. And the terrifying thought is this: eventually, we begin to treat our own skills as disposable too. But this erosion, it extends beyond our hands. It is reaching into our minds. It is reshaping the geography of our brains. Consider the GPS. It seems like a miracle. You can never get lost. But in the past, navigating a city required building a cognitive map. You had to build a mental model of the streets, the landmarks, the spatial relationships. You had to know that the river was to the south and the tower was to the west. Today, we follow blue lines blindly. Turn left, turn right, arrive. We arrive at our destination, but we have no idea where we are. Evidence suggests that because we rely on this automation, the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for spatial memory, is no longer being exercised. It is shrinking. This is what experts call the automation paradox. As our technology becomes more reliable, our own contribution to the task diminishes, and our skills atrophy. We have entered an age of cognitive offloading. We no longer memorize facts. We memorize where to find facts. We don't know phone numbers. We don't know how to spell difficult words. Autocorrect does it for us. We don't struggle through the friction of decision-making. Algorithms suggest what we should watch, what we should buy, and even who we should date. While this is incredibly efficient, it weakens us. It weakens our deep memory retention. It weakens our critical thinking. We are building a glass cage around ourselves. The danger here is not the science fiction nightmare that machines will conquer us in a violent uprising. The danger is far more subtle. The danger is that we will become so dependent on them that we lose the ability to function without them. We are severing the ancient link between the hand and the brain. We are left with, as the poet said, no thought bright behind the eye. So, what is the cost? What is the spiritual price tag of all this convenience? It produces a psychological state known as learned helplessness. When we cannot alter the physical world around us, when we cannot fix the flat tire, or unclog the drain, or stitch the torn shirt, we feel fragile. We feel anxious. We become masters of the abstract. We live in screens, in spreadsheets, in emails, in the cloud, but we remain slaves to the concrete reality of breaking things. When the physical world fails, we collapse. There is a profound therapy in manual competence that the digital world cannot offer. It offers objective reality. Think about it. In the office or on social media, we are constantly managing impressions. We offer chattering interpretations of ourselves to prove our worth. Did I send the right email? Did I get enough likes? Is my status high enough? It is all fluid. It is all opinion. But in manual work, there is no spin. When a tradesman flips a switch he installed and the light comes on, it is an undeniable experience of agency. And there was light. You can simply point to it. The building stands, the car runs, the leak stops. The screw is either tight or it is not. Reality is the ultimate judge, and that is comforting. By removing these cognitive elements from our work and hiding the inner workings of our tools, we have separated planning from execution. We are increasingly becoming clerks of our own lives. We handle abstractions rather than confronting the logic of things. This erosion of independence makes us easier to manipulate. It makes us more susceptible to the fantastic hopes of marketing and demagogues. Why? Because we have lost the grounding that comes from grappling with physical reality. We have forgotten how hard it is to build something real. This sounds grim, I know. But the extinction is not inevitable. There is a movement rising, a quiet rebellion, the rebellion of repair. The right to repair movement is gaining ground globally. It argues that fixing things is a fundamental human right. It asserts a simple truth. If you bought it, you own it. And if you own it, you should be able to fix it. This isn't just about saving money, and it isn't just about the environment, though reducing the millions of tons of e-waste is critical. It is about reclaiming our autonomy. Repairing is an act of defiance. In a culture that wants you to be a passive consumer, fixing something is a revolutionary act. It teaches patience. It teaches logic. It teaches respect for materials. When you fix something, you are engaging in a systematic encounter with the material world. You are stepping out of the glass cage. You are saying, I am not just a user, I am a maker. So, here is our challenge to you. We are not suggesting you must build your own car from scratch or forge your own tools. But we are suggesting that you refuse to be helpless. Learn one manual skill this month, just one. It doesn't have to be complex. Learn to replace the battery in your smartphone. Learn to sew a button back onto your favorite shirt. Learn to sharpen a kitchen knife. Learn to change your own oil. Go back to that dripping faucet. Don't call the expert yet. Look at it. Understand it. Find the valve. Turn the wrench. Reclaim the pleasure of being a cause in the world rather than just an effect. Because when we stop repairing the world, we stop repairing ourselves.